What's up, YouTube? Jordy C here, back with another video. I'm in the car. It's time for some drive time true crime. Well, I say that, but what I thought I was going to bring to you is not necessarily what I'm going to bring to you, really. Now it's sort of taken on a life of its own. It's more of a PSA, a public service announcement. But first of all, how are you? How is everyone doing out there? I'm doing well. It's a lovely day here in AZ. The sun is setting now. I hope that's not messing up the light too badly, but I'll try and keep this quick anyway. But yeah, hope you're all doing well. As I say, I am. Got a lot of irons in the fire right now with Dark World. I've got a narrative episode on the murder of Ricky Cowles Jr. That's going to be coming out next. We've got Bad Vegan coming through the pipeline. A Dark World episode there, so lots to look forward to from the Dark World. But today, here and now, some drive time true crime for you. And I say that is sort of a bit of a misnomer at this point. Why? Why is that? Well, as I say, it's kind of going to be a public service announcement. And that is really that fentanyl is not as strong as you're being led to believe. It's just not. It's just not as powerful as you think it is. And for me to explain that, though, I think I am going to have to back up a little bit and start with the article that I was going to bring you today, just as Drive Time True Crime. So, I've got it here. I brought it with me. This comes to us from Abigail Adams. Very sort of traditional Salem witch trials kind of name, right? Abigail Adams. For People, True Crime Division. Here we go. A New Jersey man has been charged with first-degree aggravated manslaughter and a host of other charges after his 12-year-old nephew overdosed on fentanyl and later died. Troy Nokes, 35, of Blackwood, was arrested nearly 2 months after the boy was found unresponsive on his school bus. The boy was taken to a nearby hospital where he succumbed to his injuries on February 1st. The City of Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, by the way, does anyone know, why would the City of Philadelphia be dealing with something in New Jersey? Is there a Philadelphia, New Jersey? Or is it just because everything's so close together over there on the East Coast? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But the City of Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office has determined that the boy died from drug intoxication, specifically fentanyl. Now, Troy Nokes is accused of manufacturing fentanyl at his nephew's Blackwood home the weekend before his death, according to authorities. God, that's a bad sentence. I still am just so impressed that some of these people get writing jobs. People Magazine, if you need a true crime writer, hit me up. I can do a much better job. No offense, Abigail, just saying. Really bad sentence. The uncle allegedly directed his nephew to clean paraphernalia that contained fentanyl, and witnesses told investigators that the boy was not wearing gloves when he did so. In addition to first-degree aggravated manslaughter, Troy Nokes is charged with strict liability drug-induced death, maintaining a CDS production facility, CDS being controlled dangerous substance, employing a juvenile in a drug distribution scheme, endangering the welfare of a child, witness tampering, tampering with evidence, hindering apprehension, aggravated assault, and 7 other related offenses. 7 more in addition to all that. Wow. Hindering apprehension is funny. Like, I know what they're saying. He was hindering his own apprehension. He was making it difficult for them to apprehend him. But the way it, hindering apprehension. I wanted to go to the party, but I had a hindering apprehension, so I wasn't able to go. I like that. Joanna Johnson, you don't care nothing about me. Shout out to those who have been with us long enough, have been listening to me and the Ed Man and our talks. You'll know what that's about. Anyway, Joanna Johnson, Nokes' ex-girlfriend, was also arrested on Monday for allegedly tampering with evidence and hindering Nokes' apprehension by police. There's that hindering apprehension again. Johnson and Nokes are being held at Camden County Correctional Facility ahead of a pretrial detention hearing. An investigation is ongoing. Now, pretty heavy-duty stuff, eh? I mentioned this article to my father on Sunday, I guess it was, or Monday. And I told him that I was going to do this. He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. You got to watch this John Oliver thing from last week tonight. He just debunked all this stuff. And I said, what? He said, yeah, you got to check it out. So shout out to Dad. By the way, Dad's going to be doing Bad Vegan with me. So you'll be able to meet the legend, the man himself, Jackson, Cactus Jack. Shout out, Dad. Anyway, yeah, so he says, you got to check this out. So I did. Checked out the John Oliver. And that is, yeah, last week tonight with John Oliver. So I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can watch that. You can actually watch the full clip on YouTube. He's got it up there now. And thank you, John Oliver. Thank you, John Oliver, and anyone else who is debunking this stuff, because I always, obviously, I was going to report this story to you as just like, wow, this is crazy, right? I guess fentanyl really is a motherfucker. Because I was resistant for a long time to that idea. Because, when it first sort of exploded onto the scene, right, you heard all these little radio announcements or saw little commercials or flyers that would have a picture of a tiny morsel of fentanyl next to a massive amount of heroin. It was like, just this much fentanyl is equal to this much heroin, and this much fentanyl can kill you instantly, right? So I was like, wow, that seems ridiculous, because it's so hard to get that much of a punch packed into something that tiny, unless you're, Walter White with the ricin or something. But you know what I'm saying. It's just like, even anthrax, there has to be an amount. Anyway, I kind of thought it was BS when it first came out. But then you just start hearing all of these stories like this one today, or a lot of stories perpetuated by law enforcement saying that they came in contact with someone who had fentanyl and then one of the officers overdosed. You see that stuff all the time, right? And John Oliver talks about that a lot in the episode as well. But yeah, I always kind of thought it was bullshit. I don't know if it depends who you are, how well you know this channel, or if you listen to the podcast as well. I've talked some about my history. If you don't know, I am a recovering opiate addict. Heroin was my thing. Fentanyl did not... It was around, obviously, but it did not blow up. Like, I had gotten out of the game, right, before the fentanyl craze. But I did have fentanyl. We used to get those patches that they give you in the hospital, like for cancer patients, that you slap on there like a nicotine patch. And then the fentanyl slowly releases over time into your body. Well, we didn't want slow release, right? So what we did was we'd bite into the packets, the little packet that's on the patch. We'd bite into it and just suck out the fentanyl, out the liquid, right? And here I am. I was fine. But after years and years have gone by and hearing stories like this, I go, well, I guess maybe nothing happened to me because I was opioid tolerant from the heroin or from whatever else I was doing, right? But no, it turns out that it is bullshit. And listen, I don't want to say, look, let's be clear. Fentanyl is extremely potent and extremely dangerous. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not. It's just this idea that just being in proximity to fentanyl, touching fentanyl without gloves, or, that's not going to give you an overdose. You're not even going to feel effects, let alone an overdose. So that's the point that I'm getting at. But absolutely, fentanyl is dangerous, right? I've got some quotes here. Synthetic opioids, which fentanyl is the king of the synthetic opioids, is responsible for 2/3 of all overdose deaths in the United States. That's massive. But that's for people ingesting it. Again, shooting it up. Or, so there are the two main ways that you OD from fentanyl, right? one, so much of it is coming from the street drugs, the street fentanyl that's being made in these labs, like these CDS labs like Troy Nokes here. So you don't know exactly what you're getting. So maybe you know you're taking fentanyl, like you're taking some heroin cut with fentanyl, but you don't know the potency. You don't know if Troy Nokes made it or some other guy made it, and you don't know what the ratios are. That's a way you can overdose. Or you don't even know you're taking fentanyl because they're pressing pills, they're pressing like perks. You think you're taking a Percocet, but it's actually 100% fentanyl. And the difference is staggering. So you OD, right? But the rest of it is all just hysteria. And this is nothing new, right? So the past is the best predictor of the future, or the best predictor of the future is the past. I guess it's the same thing. And we've seen this, right? The big one, of course, is crack in the 80s, the super drug thing, right? When these drugs come onto the scene, they blow up onto the scene, they're a super drug, and they're super dangerous. And the same with crack. This much can kill you, just this much, and you'll be dead, right? We've seen that. Same thing. Even with marijuana, actually, like in the 40s and the 50s, reefer madness, this drug that's destroying our youth. Just this much marijuana can end your life. Seen it all before. Totally. Crocodile, or crocodile. Shout out to those who remember that. If you know, you know. So yeah, totally seen it before. And it's been debunked, and I'm so glad that we have some definitive sources we can turn to here. In the Last Week Tonight episode, John Oliver quotes from a CBS News report where experts say, quote, "It is technically impossible to touch fentanyl powder and feel any effects of it, let alone overdose." End quote. Yeah, that tracks for me, right? So it makes it absolutely laughable when you see these stories now of police suiting up in hazmat gear to approach a car that they think has fentanyl in it, or stories of cops that have said like, oh, I was having an overdose, so I had to give myself Narcan. Look, good rule of thumb, if you're able to give yourself Narcan, you don't need Narcan. That simple. So what is happening though, Jordan? Because I saw an officer go into an overdose just seconds after he was looking through someone's backpack and found fentanyl. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't know if it's he has some sort of panic attack, or you know, the terror, the fear, the hysteria about fentanyl is making him so frightened, heart racing, freaked out. Oh my God, I've touched fentanyl. Oh my God, it's like anthrax. Someone mailed me anthrax. It's the same kind of thing. This powder is here. Oh my God. Oh, fentanyl. I touched it. I don't know. I don't know if that's going on. I can't explain it. All I can tell you, although the experts can tell us, is that that's not possible. So maybe these cops, I don't know. I really don't know what it is. It's also just very funny. Shout out to my friend Dylan, who mentioned like so many of these cops suiting up in these suits and putting on the gloves and the booties and the mask and going for the backpack. So many of these cops, the same cops who wouldn't wear a mask during the pandemic. Very funny. Shout out, Dill. But yeah, that's all I've got really for you. Just fentanyl. It's not as powerful as you think it is. The link to the John Oliver video is down in the description. He's a more eloquent speaker than I am. He's funnier too. Check that out. I do recommend it. I'll also put the links to the article in here and everything else. Check out the podcast if you haven't. Please like, subscribe if you're new, all that jazz. It's been great talking at you. We'll talk at you next time. I've been Jordan Crittenden for Dark Dark World.